we're gonna start off. So normally what I will do is I'll always create a nice sense of touch, like, okay, this is what we're headed into. Maybe I'll start with some gentle rolls in the traps. And very similarly, we'll do some compression down the back. When you push into the back, there are certain areas that are gonna feel better than others. Right here, where there's lots of ribs, feels great. When you get into low ribs and unattached ribs, I don't put as much pressure because then it feels kind of uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Then I will often come to the shoulder and I'll do the palm press, but it's more catered towards the trapezius. So a little bit more in the upper traps here. Just let me know if anything I'm doing is bothering you, okay?
Thank you. Very good expression. Excellent.
So it's all just movement of my body, right? I'm not actually shifting all that much. I'll come in, I'll do a little compression like that, and then sometimes I'll bring in some forearms, just to lean in, a little bit more weight. Is that okay?
Yes.
And we'll take it down a little bit along the space between the erectors and the scapula.
You kind of just lean into like one side, right? Kind of just like trying to open it up.
Yeah, I'm just creating a little separation with my forearm. And you can see, like, as far as body goes, I just swivel my hips kind of back and forth, and that's where the pressure comes from. Now here I will use my thumbs. I'll do sort of a what's called a trap fold. I drive my thumbs in and roll the trapezius back. So now I'll do that. Threes work really well here. Do everything like 3 times in different places. How's that?
Very good.
So then, do you keep your routine at a strict 15 minutes?
You can cater to whatever you want. So this is a 10-minute routine I'm going to do here. When I'm done with that, I'll transition it over to the other side. So I'll do some palm presses. And I'm a big fan of transitioning and tying things together. So I'll come all the way down the back to kind of let her know that I haven't forgotten about that space down there. And then I'll come back and do the same thing now on this side.
It feels very fluid.
Yeah, you can still have elements of Swedish, even though it's a compression-based routine. You can still have flow, and you can still have that rhythm in there. So strokes happening at regular intervals, and you're trying to encourage a sense of release in the client. So you don't want it to be too choppy. You don't want it to be all over the place. You want there to always be, like, every second, pressure, 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 right?
Mhm.
Kind of gets them in a rhythm. Pressure, 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 so that they kind of entrain to it.
I can actually feel him lifting the muscle as well, so it's like really efficient. 'Cause you can get in there, you heat it up.
In the beginning of a really big skin roll.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just so.
sure.
It's nice. It's warming up the tissue. I feel the tension releasing from being stiff. Didn't do my stretches this morning.
I do these little twists with my fists in here. I kind of lean in and drag down. This allows me to pull into the lower back. Now you'll see that clothing, you can still glide over clothing quite well. You can take longer strokes if you want to.
So then your gliding strokes are working with the actual clothing, so you're going down, you're not going up.
No, right, that would be tough to pull off.
Okay.
We'll do some little work in here. Now sometimes when clients have targeted specific issues with their lower back, I'll do targeted stuff. I'll just do a little bit here real quick to kind of give you a sense of what that's like. But here's where something like your knuckles can come in very handy, because you can bury into either side of the erectors, right along the spine, and you can kind of get in there. A little more intense.
It's just more pressure. You can just feel the shifting down of the spine as you're doing it, but it's good. It's like, it's an opener, definitely.
And circles work here really well too. Circular friction, like we did yesterday,
Okay.
that works great. So you notice like I'm in a crazy wide stance here, right? Sometimes when you're doing chair, it's nice to get your stretch in while you're doing your chair, because this is sort of giving you relief. Otherwise, you're just standing for hours. Sometimes.
Right.
It's rough.
Right.
Are you okay?
So now I'll take that glider all the way up. And we'll get into the arms now, a little bit of the arms, so to speak. So when I come to this side, I'll use my thumbs here a little sparingly too. Again, same idea, trap fold. I push up and I pull back, and now I start to get into the posterior scapula. Generally a very sensitive place for a lot of folks, but always tight. If I want to extend this into a full arm routine, I can just simply take it down the arm. I don't have to, a lot of times I don't. So I'll just take it into a squeeze, and that's that duckbill squeeze. It just comes down over the delt and down into the arm a little bit. If I want to carry it into the person's hands, I'll carry it into their hands, but otherwise I'll just kind of squeeze and drag it down. And then come back. And repeat over here. When I use my thumbs like this, you'll notice that I don't really have an extended thumb. My hand is pretty much in this position, very closed and together. And this is the kindest way to use your thumb because it's the closest to clasping like you would if you were grabbing something like this. And so it doesn't put a lot of pressure. When you straighten your thumb out and you push like that, that's where you run into a lot of problems. So in the clasping type of mode, your thumb can still be a very effective tool. This one's a little tight, so I'm there.
That's the injured one.
That's all through the anterior delta.
Yeah.
Alright, so now we'll come into the neck. So I'll just start with, sometimes you can get onto some skin if the client has an open shirt. Really wide, squeeze together. Drag all that tissue together. Now this is on skin, so you get a different kind of effect, which I sort of like sometimes. If I can get a piece of skin, I'll take it. Sometimes you can't.
Right.
You can feel how that sort of drags through. Not too much, right?
No.
Doing chair, like it's great to not have one hand doing something right now. So this hand can rest while this hand does the work. And then if I want to take it and come up into the base of the skull, I can switch. And I can give this hand a rest while this hand does the squeezing action. So now I get to get a little relief in there for myself. Okay?
Yeah. It's just, yeah, I feel the circulation opening up and blood flow. I'm really tense in my occipital region, super. So I just feel like this is a gradual way.
So now when we start to bring it to a
Stimulating.
close, right, I start slowing the strokes down a lot. We get a little bit deeper. Pressure comes in a bit more. And we start to kind of unwind things. We can do some circles on the scapula, similar to what we did onto the hips. And to let the client know that things are coming to a close, we kind of come back to the start of the routine. We can come in with some compression. We can come into one of my favorite things, which is counter stretching, opposite hip and shoulder, moving away from one another. What does that feel like?
Yeah, the separation from the hip to the shoulder, which is kind of.
Does it feel good? though?
Yeah, yeah.
I
It's
never
like
get
a
to feel
pulling.
this stuff, so
Oh,
I never know. I never know what it's
Right.
like. I only
So
get to
I
do it.
think that we should practice on him today.
Oh, you're gonna be in the chair today.
I think he should.
And
I
then
We're
you
gonna play musical chairs.
close
You're
kind
gonna
of
be
like
in
you
one.
close with Swedish, where you might go like some nice like.
All right, we're almost done.
Get up.
Yeah, get out of my chair.